Hey everybody, welcome to Sit Your Axe Down, presented by ProPros. I am one of the hosts, Kyle, Rick and Bo, because we got another Kyle here. And
yeah, gotta have last names. Lucas Johnson.
This guy doesn't even need described. He's Lucas Johnson. And we're here with Kyle Durrant at the first tournament of the 2023 Waddle calendar year. And so stick around, hang out with us. We're going to chat it up and talk about 2023.
We've decided to obviously have a guest on our first episode here. We've got Kyle Durrant.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one side note was yesterday we got to watch Kyle. We'll try to add a little bit of video clip here, but we got to watch Kyle in action making a handle. I mean, not one of his super fancy handles, that take hours and hours, but it was really cool to see what he could do in 20 minutes.
No, far less.
I'm sure it was less than that.
I think when I asked if you cared if I recorded video, I think I took by the time you had it shaped and you had the head seated in place.
Yeah.
I think I had 6 2.5-minute videos.
Yeah, we left left before the wedge was put in, but everything else was pretty much done other than that, and it was very impressive to watch in person, especially for anybody that's ever tried to hang a head.
Because it was like a true 2x10x6.
Yeah, it
7 minutes
truly
before
started as just
a
a slab of wood and became a handle very quickly. So it was really cool to see.
Very.
But we got a couple of topics we were going to touch on. But before we get into that, we're going to do a taste test.
Yeah, so I'm pretty positive it ended up on one of the discussion pages where somebody had referenced Starry, a new drink that Pepsi came out with. They eliminated Sierra Mist from their lineup, which I think a lot of people would be happy with because it wasn't.
I like Sierra Mist, man.
I mean, it was fine, but nobody was like, I love that way more than Sprite.
Really?
Yeah.
I preferred it over Sprite.
I think there's
I preferred it.
You and maybe the guy that came up with the recipe, but otherwise, people were wanting Sprite and they were just getting Sierra Mist because they have Pepsi here.
Because where I grew up in Indiana, and Lucas wasn't far away in Bowling Green.
Close enough. That's the closest real city.
Yeah. What was it?
Glasgow, Kentucky.
Glasgow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Russia, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Russia? Glasgow in Russia?
No, Scotland.
Glasgow. Oh, shit.
It's close enough.
Now I sound completely stupid. And I'm actually pretty decent with geography most times. But, God dang. I'm going to cut that shit out.
No, you're not 100%. You got to be authentic. You got to be authentic. It's the moment. It's okay.
We had RC Cola because it was kind of started in that area, and RC Cola typically had 7-Up. That was that was the thing that they had. So we had a lot of 7-Up. We had Sprite. Sierra Mist came along later. Sierra Mist was way better when it first came out, and then I feel like it just kind of evolved and changed, just like Coke changes their recipes ever so often. Pepsi does and stuff. So, but Starry, I've had it already. We got it in our venues right when it first came out, 2-3 weeks ago.
I've never heard of it.
I haven't had it. I might have saw that post. I might have seen something else, but
so somebody posted on it. I commented and said that I had it. John Depke got on there, said something about if you like the lemon pine sol or lemon pledge in a bottle.
Did you guys hear that?
Oh yeah,
I hope you could hear that. All right, well we're
pretty satisfying.
We're gonna check it out. So Starry, lemon lime. When I first heard of it, I thought it was gonna be yellow, not clear. So I thought it was gonna be a mellow yellow or a Mountain Dew type of thing, but
it doesn't look as fizzy.
Still pretty fizzy.
All right, let's see. I'm going in. I'm doing it.
I will say they are not incredibly cold.
Yeah, so that might.
They're not as cold as they could be.
Yeah,
but it's definitely more lemony. I get the lemon. I like that.
Yes, yeah, more lemon. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's not something that I'm gonna go home and buy.
Are you really gonna pat yourself on the back when you're like, "Here's my revolutionary idea: less lime, more lemon"?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those two. I mean, two.
They nailed it.
Yeah.
Lemon lime flavored soda with other natural flavors and no caffeine. Crisp, clear.
That's not necessarily
that's the only thing I feel like that annoys me about, because like I do enjoy Sprite and Sierra Mist, but they don't have caffeine.
I can just only imagine all the people that tuned in to listen to hear anything about axe throwing, and
we'll get to it.
We're gonna get
right now. We're doing taste test and then marketing, because who in the hell thought Starry was a spectacular name? But we actually had a conversation about this earlier today.
Okay, based upon, obviously there's a little bit of some sort of star here in the logo. I think that twofold, they thought it would taste kind of like stars, because that's, you can be kind of creative, and maybe
I'm not getting it.
I don't know. But also it's not a good name.
No.
So that means more people are going to talk about it. Even if they're making fun of it.
That's fair.
They're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know
it's a household name.
how you can go into the boardroom and pitch to people like, all right,
sometimes
hear me out.
Sometimes bad products are extremely popular. We know this.
But like, you could easily just go in and you got to explain to the boss, like, I know that this is a crap name, but hear me out. People are going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm into that.
I will tell you that it does have enough carbonation in it to immediately make you need to belch.
Sure.
That's to feel like. And for a while, there was that TikTok thing going on where you were supposed to try and chug a whole Sprite without burping.
No, let's not do that.
I'm not. Oh no, I'm definitely not doing that. But that's what it just reminded me of. So
I feel like that wouldn't be too difficult.
So does that mean we're going to be able to like go to Taco Bell and order a Starry?
That's right.
I think so. Yeah, every place where you could get Sierra Mist, you will now most likely be able to get Starry.
Interesting.
So
all right,
check it out.
We're in the future.
I think it's decent.
Okay.
Unless they want to sponsor us, and then it was delicious.
Yes.
One of my favorite drinks
Me too.
I've ever had.
Me too. You can
Starry.
Kyle at CascadiaAxe.com.
Yeah.
I love Starry.
You can find me on almost no social media because I don't do a lot of posting, but check me out.
Yeah, but that segues into another thing. I mean, that's kind of not true, because probably the biggest sponsor or biggest company to reach out to an axe thrower reached out to you this week from social media.
Yeah, it was very out of the blue. I mean,
is this the Smith & Wesson situation? Okay.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was cool. I mean, there's nothing set in stone. We're not.
I said sponsor.
They're not sponsoring me by any means or anything like
endorsement.
that.
That's an endorsement.
It would be really cool if they did, and I think it's something we're going to talk about. But they just seemed generally interested in competition throwers, and they were obviously self-aware enough, at least, that they didn't think anything they had in their current lineup was for competition, and so they wanted to have a conversation about what that might look like and what an axe would entail that would be used for competition.
So are we going to see like a Smith & Wesson, Lucas Johnson?
I don't know.
Maybe throwing axe.
That would be pretty cool.
I talked about this before. I think it would be super cool to be like one of the, to be the first person in axe throwing to have like a signature item, whether that was like a backpack or a knife or a whatever that like was associated to my name. And I guess maybe somebody already has that. There's an axe that people call the Marcus Brown a lot of times. It's not his, he designed it, but
that's fair.
And so there might already be something that's kind of like that, but I think it would be really cool to have like a signature device, even if it's not the first. But
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
As somebody who's like particularly vested in like you as one of my sponsored quote unquote throwers, I might be a little.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Well, I will also say that I am very particular about what I throw as far as just comfort, and I don't change axes very often, so it would really suck to work hard helping them make something and then,
not like it,
and then not love it, right? Because it would just put me in a really weird situation, like
that's fair.
Like throw it. So I would be very upfront about that with anybody that I helped design anything or do anything with. That when it came to the axe, it's like if I help design a backpack and then I don't love it, it's like I can still carry it, right? But if I help design an axe, it's like I kind of got to throw it. I can't.
Yeah.
It's not like I can put my name on it and then be like, but I throw this.
Yeah.
Because it kind of defeats the purpose. But
it does get a little murky.
It would be a really cool opportunity. It's something that, I would be super excited about, but there's nothing big. But they did reach out. They sent me a bunch of their current lineup stuff, and it was fun to throw around. Obviously, 99% of it wasn't legal for anything Waddle or WKTL, but
99.
But we do this for fun.
I think technically the bigger axe that they sent, there's nothing illegal about it.
The back didn't have like an actual spike on it.
No,
I don't think.
I saw the post.
Yeah, so I think that one.
Then, yeah.
The handle might be too long now.
Oh, yeah,
it's like
19.
20 or 19 inches. So like I could cut it down though and throw it for a hatchet.
Yeah,
but I mean, it was cool. Everything came with a bottle opener on it, which made it really hard to throw though, because like my fingers would get caught in it. So there's just a couple of things that they could do to immediately make things better. Like some other people commented, some other people reached out after seeing it and told me like, oh, if you're giving them feedback, let them know XYZ, because we throw them at our venue or we have them at our venue.
The other thing too is like everyone gets super wrapped up in we do this as competition and we travel, but like at the heart of this, we all throw things like we do because it's fun. I have 100 different like throwing cards and throwing stars and knives that aren't legal, and I still throw them because it's fun and that's what we love to do.
Thing that they sent me.
Yeah, that's.
I hadn't seen them out, but like they obviously are very similar to like a Ninja Star type of thing or something. But that was one I hadn't seen. I'd seen the cards
what
and
you
other
were
stuff.
Kind of hitting on there, like we all do this competition side of it, but like you own a venue, I own a venue. A lot of other throwers own venues. And prior to axe throwing, I came from like specialty retail, so like more specifically the cycling industry. And so that was kind of the same with pretty much everyone in the cycling industry, bicycle industry, that worked in a bike shop was either into, competition road bikes or competition mountain bikes. But 99% of our customer base was, people riding like cruisers and hybrids and stuff like that, where 99% of our everyday business is people coming in to learn axes, and all those other items that they already sell would work for those. Yeah. So
a lot
not only would it benefit the competition side, but hey, we have access to venues and owners and stuff.
There's something to be said about like throwing a set of throwing stars and just throwing something completely different than what you're used to. If you just do nothing but pick up a hatchet and practice 3 hours a day, you're going to have diminishing returns. If you pick up a set of 6-inch throwing knives and figure out how to get those to stick and get consistent with them, that's going to translate over to your hatchet, to your big axe, whatever it is you're doing.
It's like Nate Hodges today didn't throw knives before he walked in the door.
Yeah,
he did great.
Knives is for like that's super impressive because I mean when I picked up knives, the one spin wasn't super challenging, but two spin was like a challenge, and I appreciated that it was challenging. But the other thing that happened when I started throwing knives was I got better at hatchet. I mean, like
100%.
I 100% got more appreciative of how I can make small tweaks with hatchet and become very, very consistent. And so I think that truly, if you're not throwing knives right now and you're not throwing them because and you want to be good at hatchet, you're not throwing knives because you think you're not going to be good at it, or you think it's too challenging, or I only want to focus on hatchet. You're really missing an opportunity to teach yourself about rotation and about different things that can drastically help your hatchet game.
For me, hatchet is so forgiving.
Yes.
Every time if I'm at home and I'm like, okay, I got about 2 hours today, I'm gonna train hatchet, and I come down, I open with a half hour of knives before anything I do. I start with knives, and when I feel pretty good about it, I switch over.
Yeah.
And if I get 5% better with my knives, I'm 10% better with hatchet.
Yeah. Hatchet is so forgiving, and I always am reminded of that when we have new throwers that join Knife League that, are already hatchet throwers. And they're pretty decent at hatchet, they're landing everything, they're not having drops, but I always tell them, like, it's very humbling to throw knives and quickly learn that, scooting up, an inch in knives results in a a very drastic landing difference. Whereas if I tell you to scoot back an inch and hatch it, it might not really land that much different. I mean, you're still going to stick it. So it's very interesting to see that. But kind of on that same note, the whole thing about getting people to throw knives because it's going to make them better at hatchet is kind of what we are trying to do with the Pro League series.
Oh, absolutely. That would.
It was just kind of our whole mentality was that we really want it to be for throwers that throw, everything. And we knew and we talked about it that it was going to ruffle some feathers by, immediately just having a one-ticket price. But our hope is that in the long run that it actually helps the knife community as well as makes people better hatchet throwers, makes people that maybe are, not doing so well at Big Axe, but now they're going to this event and they feel like they can throw in it. So I think that was our mentality behind it. Is we wanted to grow knives, and unfortunately, the best way to do that was to kind of force people to start throwing it.
Sure, and I think that there were some people, especially at the beginning, who kind of backed out because they don't own knives or whatever. Well, I make a lot of axe sheaths and knife sheaths, so unfortunately the only way to do that is, at least right now, is to buy all the shit that's out there and use that to make the sheaths. And so, I've got a ton of knives. I know that Tyler Flynn, who's also a part of the PLS from a founder perspective, he's got knives. Lucas has knives. So we kind of offered, like, hey, if you don't have knives, we'll find you a set of knives.
Yeah.
We'll make sure you have it, so because we don't want you.
Don't let me forget, I left a set of barbarians
somewhere in here. Okay. That's fair.
We didn't want, because you mentioned a couple different reasons why people didn't want to throw knives, and I was going to interject and say, or the people that just say it's doing knives was a cash grab, attempt to do it, which is something that always comes up, but that's just a stupid excuse that people come up with. But that's something that we assumed probably would come up with us. Hey, these guys are just trying to cash grab. Well, no, we're not going to force you to buy knives. We'll make sure you have a set of knives if you don't have it.
I think that we will have knives. I think that as long as he has inventory, I think we'll get some Proud Blades knives, which we are going to allow, as long as they meet WKTL specs and they're not like a cleaver or something. We're going to allow those. Obviously, Toro is allowed as well. And
WKTL,
obviously WKTL,
and even if there's another person out there, I know Bunisher has been around at Ironside.
They have a bunch of different ones, so I don't want to just go out and say Bunisher knives are available.
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember Angry Wood?
There was a guy there.
Bunisher was there, and there was another guy.
Who was the guy that had the pumpkins?
He was next to that guy, or was that?
I have his card sitting on my desk.
He had the Friday the 13th, like the Jason Voorhees butcher knife style, and I wish I would have bought a set of those so bad. I walked past them and I was like, man, I need to get a set of those. Those are cool. And
I bet Jason, if I'm pretty positive I've got his card sitting on my desk, but if not, Jason would know for sure. As long as they meet spec, and especially have the hilts on there, because
let us
has
know.
To meet insurance,
we're obviously going to try to do that. It's going to be somewhat venue discretion if it's something crazy or whatever, because obviously we're not in charge of that. But we want there to be as much of an opportunity for people to be able to throw things, and if there's something else that you're more comfortable with, etc., then we would like to include those knives and try to help push the sport to where in the future they are also legal for WKTL and things like that when the time is right for them to start allowing more third-party knives.
You're always doing that kind of stuff, like Super 64, we did the 7 throw big axe and 2 kills anytime, and just testing these things and see how they work. That was great. That was a blast. I would love to see that change.
That's kind of where the idea for PLS was born. That's kind of the concept, like Super 64. Like, let's try to do a Super 64 every season.
Yeah.
and we'll try to do it somewhere else, for each time, and then it kind of evolved.
Only doing 64 is hard. I learned that the hard way. The first year we did 32. That was much easier, right? Because I could get 32 people to come. Once I made it 64, I only really opened it up to like 72 throwers at the beginning. And, I was struggling so bad to get people.
That tournament was gnarly.
It ends up being a really great tournament, skill-wise and things like that.
Yeah, it was. That thing was your first match was opening up like it was playoffs.
Yeah.
Your first round match is 3 rounds deep in a tournament.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That helps everybody too. You're getting a world's level tournament every season.
It didn't do the best for my confidence going right into Worlds, if I'm honest.
It could do that, but I think you got to figure out what to do with that. And for what you do in that situation, right? Like, so you lost there, so it's like, oh, do you just fold and not care about Worlds, or do you take that and like it's the motivation you needed for Worlds type of thing?
I definitely stepped up how much I was throwing every day.
Yeah.
I went from 2 after that coming back. I was a little sad.
Yeah,
I definitely went from maybe like an hour and a half to like 3 hours
of
in a
figuring
day.
it out.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too with Super 64. It was primarily based off of hatchet only, and that's kind of how we initially thought. Okay, well, 64 would be the goal number.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, we reached 64 officially, signed up and paid today.
Yeah.
So we got it. We got 64 for the first one at least. So we are not going to be.
And I'm not signed up yet.
Yeah,
which is embarrassing.
We have like 5 to 10 more people that. So our other goal was to get 72.
Yeah,
that was our first
70.
I'll be one of those.
72 people, because there's a lot of different things that go into. You're doing a tournament. That went right up nose.
It's an interesting challenge for you guys, though, to do this tournament at a venue that's not yours.
Yeah,
which is something that I've been like.
So this is a totally different format from what people are used to from a tournament perspective.
As far as I know, we'll be the first people to put on a tournament at somebody else's venue, right?
Yeah, outside of U.S. Open Worlds.
Yeah.
So 64 was the initial goal, because then we're like, okay, good, 64 people. We'll have 64 times 400 is.
Yeah, I can tell you.
It would have been 25,400, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
It's I don't bat an eye.
It's like 25-6.
25-6. Okay, so I was a lot closer than I was with Glass Scout earlier. But in my head, I was like, why the hell did I say Russia? Moscow, Glass Scout.
That's fair.
But
we got it.
So 64, 25,600. We've got to take a portion of that to the venue, give them the 20,000. Okay, great. Well, obviously, when we're doing this, we have to create a company and to be able to take money in and pay money out, and then with payment processing, you lose money in the fees, and we're basically at the end of the day an event promotion setup. So we don't have income coming in. Can't eat the fees, so 72 became the goal, because 72 people, we're going to offset the cost of the fees that are coming in. We're going to be able to pay the venue. We're going to be able to help out with some of the judge stuff. So we had 72 in mind, and hopefully we're
going to get really close.
We're going to get very close to that. So
which
for it'll be the second event in axe throwing of the year,
which is you experienced the same thing, being the first tournament of the year. Like, there's a lot of people that didn't come.
Yeah.
That
Christmas and New Year's just ended, so
Christmas, New Year's, people don't have their sponsorships.
They don't have their stuff figured out for the year.
Yeah.
They, just beginning of the year, you're not really focused on doing it, but now those people saw your live stream, and they're at home, and they're like,
the FOMO. The people on the live stream were like, "Oh my god!"
The FOMO kicks in hard. I mean, the same thing happened to me last year, because I couldn't make it to your tournament, and you were one of the first ones of the year, and it was like, man, I really wish I was there.
Yep.
But I mean, they're just at that point, obviously when I'm watching the live stream, it's too late.
Yeah.
But I think that is just a beginning of the year issue when you have a really early tournament and there's another lull like in the summer right before fall, like right before a bunch of tournaments happen before Worlds, which is going to be different this year because of the new schedule. But I think just being one of the first ones of the season, you're going to get the like slightly smaller signups just because nobody's really focused on trying to get to Worlds yet, and they don't really know, what they're going to need to get there.
There's a lot of opportunity
and things like that. Like,
still,
they're like, oh, there's 100 more tournaments this year. I'm going to be fine. But it just
there ain't 100 more like
this
one.
There's not 100 more tournaments.
No, not 100, but there's only like 90. But yeah, I mean, I think we're going to meet our goal. Our goal with the whole thing is that, I mean, we're not trying to make any money, any extra money that we have from signups. Our goal is to have a 20K prize pool at every event, unless we are able to secure a sponsor. That might get higher. It won't go less than 20 as our goal. And we're hoping that we'll be able to get more signups than 72 for some of the events. And then with that money, we are hoping that we might be one of the first people to host a tournament where people don't have to pay.
Yeah.
Right. So if maybe not,
that's cool.
Not everybody will get this, but our goal for the championship, for the finals at the end of the year is going to be the people that won and placed X amount. We haven't decided the basis for it yet, but the top finishers from those 4 events, we'll probably do a point system or something like that. But the top finishers,
an overall,
the top finishers from those events, at least maybe 16 to 24, something 12, 16, 24, something in there will not have to pay any entry.
Yeah, I think conceptually, like, if you're familiar with like NASCAR or IndyCar racing, you have your individual events, which would be Hatchet, Big X Duels, and then you have the series points. And so, like, you may not. I mean, theoretically, someone who never wins a single thing, but places in the top 10 and everything is going to place very high in the overall.
Me, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if you're consistently getting like, second to fifth, and you never win, but like you're going to end up with more points than probably the person that does win one of them that places 30th in the other.
Yeah.
So the goal is those
so we'll
16
have those
pay.
4 seasonal events capped off with
a 5th event that will be
Super 32 championship.
Something. I mean,
like
we'll have that, and I think our goal probably is to do like a pro-am thing on one day, and people that win out of that, they will basically their prize for winning that will be to pretty much get into the other tournament.
Yep.
And then that tournament will be the people that got in by their points and didn't have to pay to, and then we'll use the other prize pool money from that and the pro-am, and then we'll combine them and hopefully be near that same 20K prize pool, if not more.
So this feels like what we'd all like to see the U.S. Open be.
I mean, there definitely could be things that, I do think that in the future, it's a timing thing and there's some things that have to work out, but I think that that's what tournaments will eventually become. And that's what I think they should go to is they should go to a Thursday people are already doing things on Thursdays and Fridays. Yeah. So if feasible, Thursday and Friday, you're doing one big tournament, maybe not every discipline, but maybe you could do it just for Hatchet to start. Yeah. Where you do a pro-am tournament and then X amount of those people get into the main tournament.
I think that's the way to go, because if you're trying to scramble your way up into a pro series event like a U.S. Open or you should that tournament before where that's the Open. Yeah. That's where you come in and you earn your spot in the top 5 or whatever, get in with the people, with the pros that have earned their position to compete in that spot.
It definitely fits the narrative of growing the sport too, right? Because you don't have to have any sort of qualification to come throw in that.
Yep.
And then you're easily able to, I think that those people won't be, like offended to not earn a ton of money. I think there could still be a prize pool. It could just be a much lesser prize pool, right? And their actual prize is just getting into the main tournament.
Yeah, that's a big step.
That's a really big step. I know that if you would have offered me that my first year, if you said, all right, you can go to the Open, you have to pay to play in this tournament. If you win, you're going to get like, $200, $500, whatever it is, if you win the whole thing. But if you finish in the top 8, if you finish in the top 16, whatever it is, you're going to get this. Or even if you, to save time, don't even play the top 16, you just get there.
Yeah. I feel like that there's also something to that where you don't come into a tournament where everyone just paid and they're entered into a bracket where you're going to get put up against something like today. It happened with one of our league members, Henry.
Right.
Who they don't even have a full league worth of knives experience under their belt.
Right, and
you were their first match. Or Philibon was their first match, sorry. But it separates that out. So if you're doing the Pro-Am division, you're going to go
their
up
first
against,
match isn't a 60 average. Their first match is like maybe a 50 average.
Yeah, totally.
Even if
it
it's still
makes it a little,
seeded, which is fine. But then that 45 person is not playing a 60 person immediately. They're paying a 51, 52. So,
but if you enter into that and you rise to the top of that group of that 50 average, then you get a chance to have that really spectacular day and go up against the guys that are at the top, and you feel like you earned that spot. You didn't just pay to be in that spot.
Definitely is something that I think it's going to take time to happen, and there's going to need to be changes to make that work, but that's where I see things going.
Yeah, and I know we had we've had plenty of questions on Pro League Series in terms of how we how we invited people to the event, and some of that had to do with early pessimism, maybe a little bit.
I mean, we were like really gung ho about it, and then we had the signups up for we put up the form, and we had a decent.
We do a lot of forms, so
yeah. If you're not familiar,
we do them for a reason. We want to make sure that we have all the information that we need, and we want to make sure that we can be as transparent and available as possible. So we need that information to do that. So. So the next form is going to ask for your social security number and stuff like that.
The original form, though, we put
first
it out.
Car, model, make,
we
color.
got like 30, 40 signups immediately. We were like, yeah, this is going to work. And then it just kind of died. We were like, crap. Okay. So then we finally got our bank account set up, and we started taking payments, and we got 10 people signed up, and we were like, I don't think we can have a Pro League Series with 10 people. And because on that same note of wanting to grow and have that Pro-Am thing, one of the people, Neil Rust, recommended that maybe we should do a
great guy, by the way.
I thought he was going to be
smart.
here.
Really,
is he?
He was. They had. I think their son had a thing. They had to parent this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought I saw him post that he was coming. So okay, they. But yeah, he recommended or suggested. Maybe we could. Every person that got an invite could nominate somebody that they thought that maybe threw at their venue, maybe threw near them at another venue, or even across the country, whatever it may be, but somebody that they thought was
someone's
an up and comer.
I did see that. Yeah.
That needs, just needs to hit a kill shot to be winning a game, and they just haven't been able to click with both of those kills recently, or something like that, or they're putting in the practice and they're really getting better, and they think this would be an event for them to go to that it would help them get better. And we were like, that's great. That's what we, are kind of setting out to do is we want to be able to, obviously growth is important because the sport's still so new. So we did that. That helped pump up the numbers.
that was kind of the last thing we did, after the first initial, okay, we're going to take Pro League and Hatchet, and we're going to take
top finishers,
finishers in Big Axe, the top finishers in Duels and the top finishers in Knife that weren't already in that.
So how did I get in?
Well, there was some special invite.
There was some
we did
correct.
We did duels. We did duels too.
Yeah,
we did top finishers from Worlds. So you got pretty close.
Duels?
Yeah, we did get pretty close.
Duels.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then And then that was kind of the last
and then
thing.
the invite thing.
I did do all 4, like 2. I'm doing duels, hatchet, big axe, knives at every tournament I can make it to.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that is important.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were doing it because we also got criticism early on of like making every discipline the same value, because I think to us and obviously Tyler as well, it's very important because there shouldn't be a discipline that is valued over the other one, and that happens.
There shouldn't be sideshows, and that's what big axe and duels are. They're sideshows,
and that's so we're putting the same value on everything. So that $20,000 prize pool that's split up between 4 events, each discipline has got the same purse.
That's cool,
and obviously still with duels you're splitting. That purse. But
I don't know what it is, man. Duels, for me, it's got to be my favorite one.
I mean,
and it might be a little bit of a sideshow, and it looks a little bit less, but like there's something about that just like being there, like with my best friend.
Yeah,
Vin,
it's
and we're doing the thing,
most
and like there's something that
fun.
elevates me.
It's the most fun. It is for me. I think that I perform. For the longest time, I perform better in duels because I have always played like team sports, and I never want to be that person that lets somebody down.
Yeah.
And so I think that added little bit of pressure was like what helped.
Happened at Jackalope play.
I've never,
but like for the most part, like I don't want that, right? Like the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'll be 100% honest, was the missed kill at the U.S. Open 2 years ago during duels. Because like if I don't miss that, we hit
on you more. Yeah.
If I hit that kill, we end up beating them, and we then won Worlds and U.S. Open back to back. Like I think that I'm just perfectly peachy and happy about how that goes, and I don't care. But the second that happened, it was like one of the best things that happened to me, because it was like I'm not letting that happen again.
See, I come from a different angle because I've never done team sports. I've always been in an individual. Like mounted archery is an individual thing.
Yeah.
I was a sponsored skateboarder and snowboarder for many years, and those are all very individual things. I've never played football. I've never played baseball. Nothing. So like doing duels with another partner is my first time feeling that like, oh, this other person is counting on me to do this and to do it right, and that and I think that's part of it. It's such a new thing for me. And we feel the same thing in the end, but we're coming at it from a different direction.
From different sides of that.
It's very motivating.
But yeah, that's for the longest time that was my biggest thing, was I just don't want to let Hayden or whoever it is down, and so I
Kyle.
think that's always
we'll see tomorrow. I hope you do let him down tomorrow.
The last time I threw with Kyle, I did let him down. So
I need that first place, man. Me and Vin have been second place too many times last year.
I mean, we
need to open it up.
We'll
with
talk
the first place. We'll talk about it.
No.
Yeah. So if you are still out there, you haven't signed. Well, actually, maybe
if you're interested in Pro League Series, you can check it out.
Reach out.
ProLeagueSeries.com. Obviously, we have a Facebook. But I mean,
we got merch if you're interested in supporting. Merch.
If you want to help, even if you aren't planning on throwing, but you think it's a cool initiative, cool idea, you can't make any of the events, you still want to support us in some way.
Yeah, we'll check this link up here. Hopefully, I remember
somewhere.
that I'm pointing up here to wherever it is. I'll put it up there.
Here it is.
For the merch page.
I would definitely say do it. Like go into the Super 64. Like even though I didn't.
You didn't
do my
perform
best
the way that you wanted.
But even if you go and you do really well, there's a benefit in that. Even if you go and kind of get your shit pushed in, you come back with a different type of motivation to go like, okay, and like so there's a ton of benefit either way.
Yeah, especially for, I mean, it is going to be a world's level tournament.
Yeah.
Every single time you go.
For sure.
And that's just going to make it better, because I mean, every big tournament you go to, you have hard matches, but you also have matches in most where you can go, okay, cool, I can kind of...
Yeah, like if I make a mistake in this match, I can probably recover from it, versus a match where you're like, if I make a mistake in this match, it's over.
Done.
Yeah, it's
over.
It's over.
It's done.
And the neat thing too with Pro League Series that we wanted to do is we wanted so it's a $400 ticket. Sounds like a lot of money. Go look at your other tournaments. It's not that bad
though. A lot of tournaments are $280, $300.
Any tournament right now is $350.
It's not that bad.
Yeah. So it's $50 more. The prize pool from a normal tournament in 2021 is, I mean, like, well, or 2022. I mean, well, actually, 2022 got worse. So, yeah, like the prize pool compared to a 2022 tournament for some of them is, I mean, we're talking triple.
It is. I think it's going to get better this year with the way they've got the calculator.
It definitely is going to get better. Yeah. And
but again, we always want more.
Yeah,
sure.
And
we always want.
It's not so much more money. It's just more transparency for some of the things. I mean, I obviously own a venue as well, and I don't want to see people, losing their shirts off their back, just trying to host a tournament. And I know that it's expensive, right? So I'm not. It's not that. I just don't want to see a precedent set where venues are taking advantage of throwers, in the sense that, throwers are going to come no matter what because they need the circuit points. I don't have to pay out. I don't have to offer XYZ. So there are other things that are set in motion this year for that, how the payouts are happening for all the tiered tournaments. There is also a survey at the end of tiered tournaments that goes out to every thrower that's at the tiered tournament that can provide feedback about how it went and say the good and bad things, right? Yeah. So that those tournaments then also are getting a chance to grow as well, and they're going to get a chance to get more.
Shout out to Bird.
Oh yeah,
we did that voluntarily last year, and we got a lot of stuff that we kind of tried to address.
Like feedback
stuff.
Yeah.
We just did a form. She put it together, and I know Danielle
kind of
got together with Bird a little bit about that too. So that's really good stuff to have.
I think there's a lot of stuff that is positive, and I think it's really hard in this sport right now to not see a ton of negative stuff. But if you have been in the sport for more than a year, 2 years, 3 years, I mean, the leaps and bounds ahead of where you were.
Look at Worlds this year.
I mean, you don't even have
to. Beautiful.
You don't have to have ever even thrown an axe, and if you just go on YouTube and type in 2019 Worlds, 2020 Worlds, and watch them in order just for 5 minutes each.
Even if you're an axe thrower and you're not like watching those YouTube videos on repeat and like studying throws, like what are you doing?
But if you watch those, you can see how the sport has gone from like, oh, this is cool, there's targets and axes. Oh, this is cool, the background actually is good. Oh, this is cool, there's some lighting. Oh, this is cool, there's lighting, there's LEDs, there's this. So like everything is growing and getting better, and it sucks to sometimes see people being so negative about things, like because they just don't understand the concept. Like they just think that everything should be fixed the way they want it immediately overnight, and that's just not how things work.
But yeah, I mean, you look at and I'm guilty of this. I'll admit, I've made some crappy WKTL posts about the Blackhawk rules change and stuff, and I've had some conversations, and like, I would for sure, like, yes, I probably have more of a reason to bitch about it than a lot of people. I'm one of the few people in this game.
We've seen your inventory
that makes a living doing nothing but making knives and axes. And there's a couple, 2 or 3 of us that like this is just what we do.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I would rather be a part of a positive change towards seeing it go. And like I've changed. I'm using a set of knives that are nice and pointy. and that's it. And my average has gone down. But you know what? Like it doesn't change anything
go back
for me.
up,
everybody's has gone down.
Yeah. And I've seen that. I look at the leaderboards, and I look at every week. I look at what scorers are doing, and like everyone we're all in the same boat.
Sure.
So it's not like these rules are applying to somebody else and not you. It's over everybody.
Yeah, with every rule, I think that you can also, I think that you should voice, your opinion about it too. Like, if you think
dissent is.
I mean,
for sure.
I'll be 100% honest. I'm looking at the camera right now. I have been complaining about the 10-second rule for 2.5 years.
I'm gonna get in here on that one too. I think that's a worthless rule.
And I don't, I'm not. There's ways to complain about it, right? Like I could be super disrespectful and get on the thing and email and post and message Morton and message, other people and try to, and be rude about it and go about it the wrong way, and nothing will ever change, and they'll just dismiss me and move on. But as somebody that's been affected by it and by, other people that I know that have been affected by it, like, I still think very strongly that there are other ways to achieve what they're trying to achieve with that rule, but nothing's going to happen if I don't go about it the right way. And I'll live with it and follow the rules the best I can while it is that way. But just trying to make, positive changes about things like that and other rule changes.
There's a difference between like collaboration and trying to like find logical and reasonable like solutions to things, and just being an asshole.
Yeah.
We don't want to be an asshole. We want the solutions that are just going to make the thing better. Yeah. I run a ton of leagues. We have a lot of throwers. We run big leagues. I would never look at a clock. I would never ask my judges to be paying attention. If you could time
that person.
Like it.
It's
never felt like an issue to me personally.
Where we're trying to be incredibly accurate.
Yeah, like when they open the new discipline called speed throwing.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Oh, Dustin Knight's all over that. Big salute.
Yeah. I mean, there's a time and place. Colby Dean's gonna give him a run for his money.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a pretty quick thrower.
I can be, but that wasn't my goal.
Yeah.
My goal was to try to be accurate.
Well,
right?
dude, especially when you're 11, 12 in, like
11, 12 in, and
11, 12 in, like
the crowd is cheering while I'm coming back.
It happened during our A semifinals match. I even said it to you. I was like, as soon as I saw you step over just a little bit and take a tiny bit more time, I knew you were going to smoke that bullseye.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's sort of a venue discretion issue for me. Like if you talk to Rebecca from Tribal, she wants to have open practice lanes the whole time because she wants people at her tournament to throw their best.
Yeah.
If you have a 100%. Bad match, you have a place to go over and tune your shit up and come back. If I'm watching ESPN, I want to see you do the best you can. If you got to go if you're going to go 22 kill shots, I want to see that.
Sure.
And I'm going to be on the edge of my seat,
especially when it's not live.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting off on.
We're getting on the change that we can continue to talk about.
Yeah, I could talk about 10 seconds. I got ideas. I'll pitch my idea just so if anybody has feedback, you can. I'm just the idea, and then we'll
What's
move
the email
on to
for feedback? Are we doing email, or do you have a Facebook page?
You can just email the Pro League series so that the three of us can see it. Okay. But my goal would be for there to be, or the best solution that I can come up with is, and I don't have a number in mind, but that there would be a timer for both throwers, so that it doesn't matter if you're a fast thrower, it doesn't matter if you're a slow thrower, you know that this is the time that we both have to throw by. So just a joint clock, a timer.
In a sense, a shot clock.
Yeah, like a shot clock, like basketball. Like, okay, the shot clock isn't, okay, once this guy passes me the ball, then I have this much time to do it. No, it's literally the second you touch the ball, you have 24 seconds or whatever league did.
So is that like a judge saying our thrower's ready?
It would be as soon as the lanes are live, which is
okay. Lanes are live, and they step on a button.
Boom,
and there's
15 seconds. Boom, whatever.
Okay.
And
is that a physical object that needs to exist in every lane?
I don't think that it needs to happen like at tier 3s or at your league night or whatever. Right now, venues that are trying to be above and beyond, obviously they could add it. Right.
We run a league like it's a tier 1 tournament.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't have to be. It's not like, oh, we're expecting venues to go out and spend all this money and do all this stuff. But I think that you could easily add it in the app if you really needed to for that situation. But
so there's a lanes live button. You click it and it starts a timer. And if you all right,
and then if you don't,
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but then the other thing is
you said
that
in the app.
In the app,
I think it could.
The judge could have a button that says lanes live, and they say lanes are live. They touch the button, and you have 15, 10, whatever seconds it is for both throwers to throw. And if somebody hasn't thrown by that,
boom, it's a fault.
It's a fault.
And I think that that's reasonable. And I don't know the second amount that is needed, 15, 20, I don't know.
It's debatable.
But that then verifies you would know how long a match is going to be other than the scoring aspect.
Yeah.
Right? Like
the amount of time. Maybe there's a second.
Right.
Maybe they got to walk up.
There's
Like
other
Shane
stuff,
tonight,
but it's
that
gonna
dude
change
could call some knife scores.
He knew the score
on the fly.
He told me when I got down there, he was like, "Congrats." I was like, "What?" He was like, "I already put all the scores in.
He is
I already know what you're going to throw."
Those matches. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think my current idea, which that may change, but my current idea is something like that. And then I think that you could have that on, like you could have a physical clock between the targets at Worlds or at
if
the
it's
Open.
on the app, I don't think it's necessary.
Well, but it would be cool to see visually for
Yeah.
ESPN, for other things, if it was up there, right? And then maybe you only need it for the finals, but just being able to see it, there's something about shooting something at the buzzer, right?
Totally.
Sure.
Things like that. I think it could add some excitement. It could be, I don't know. I just think at least then especially if you can see it, if you're in the moment, you can look up and be like, all right, I got 3 seconds. I got to throw this. Yeah. Or I look up, I got 7, like, all right, I'm going to reset my, I feel like I have enough time to reset my grip.
Yeah.
But, at this point, without knowing the time and it just eating away in the back of your head, not knowing how they're counting, not knowing how you're counting in your head, because you might think that you've been there for 5 seconds or you've been there for 3. I mean, it
would be nice to know that time there, like specifically back to Worlds. That was my first time on ESPN.
Yeah,
that was my first time really going that deep, and I'll be fine. But I mean, I said my only thing I could say on the damn interview was that I'm terrified. So I'm not super embarrassed to say there was some moments where I was almost off my legs. I was noodled in my legs, and I was not ready to throw. And I started counting.
But you had to.
And by the time I got to 3, I knew I had to throw. Yeah. And I was falling. and I threw, and I hit a kill shot, literally falling to the ground. If I had a timer that I could say, Vin, hold.
Yeah, like
if I could see something.
Yeah, we have 6 more seconds.
Yeah, we have 6 more seconds.
Let's reset.
I need a second to just take a breath and reset. Yeah. If I had seen that in front of me
if you think that's a good idea, let us know. Because
message Mike Morton at
send all your emails directly to Waddle at
local Waddle email address notification, just like your local.
So I mean I think that having that in the app, and maybe just like they do the TV lanes, it could be something that if there's a TV in that lane, or they could broadcast it and you can see it, a timer in the corner or something. It's something like that has to happen uniformly over the entire thing that's accessible to everything to be able to enforce that rule in a way. Because you're not like a stopwatch, isn't it?
No. And
I mean, it's got to be something that the thrower can see.
There's something about being able to see it that obviously is the game changer. Because either that or start counting to 10 out loud. Let me know.
The only time I really count is if my competitor isn't coming to the lane fast enough.
Yeah.
And I get to that like one, and I'm like, 29, 28, 27.
All right. What else did we want to go over? Anything? Oh, this tournament.
This tournament, yeah. So you mentioned your leagues just a second ago. It popped into my head that, and we've mentioned it now multiple times outside of here. That your league on Thursday was an experience.
Oh yeah,
and
there was nothing negative.
No, it was awesome. I mean, it really was.
It was super cool. You guys have a really tight community. Like when I say everybody was cheering everybody on, I can assure you that at your venue you are not cheering each other on like they were. I mean,
you can say you are, but you're not.
No,
you're not.
There's no way.
And so if you think you are, you're not. So come here next year.
And check it out. Come in on Thursday. Come in for league.
We're going to be streaming leagues. Like I put a ton of time, effort, money into gear and stuff for the stream, and I think it's going to be a regular that we're going to have
the actual gear sponsor for this episode 1 is Cascadia.
They hooked it up fast. We just got to bring all this with us to the next tournament. So
we try to. I mean, this is a lot as Bird. She's just an amazing human being.
I mean, it was so almost everybody, if not everybody, has a nickname.
Yeah,
I think everybody.
And that's the only thing
we call each other.
By?
Some of these people that come to my league and I see them for 2 years now.
You don't know.
I would have a hard time telling you what their actual name is, but we will refer to each other as our axe throwing names.
Yes. I mean, and personal bests were being called.
Yes.
Kill
so PRs are super
PRs. Who sucks less? People were like, I'm pretty sure there were people like that were just happened to go in the bathroom when I could hear people in there like yelling "Who sucks less?" The whole place was yelling it, and then I mean, when somebody hit a kill shot that maybe doesn't hit, they're not coming in here and hitting 50% of their kills. They're hitting like 1 out of 8, and they're not going for 8 a night. So they're hitting 1 a night. Like it was hype.
Yes,
it was serious.
There is obnoxious cheering and noise that happens in axe throwing, and it's obnoxious because it's not genuine.
Yeah.
Everything was extremely genuine.
Yes.
We value the people in the bottom 5 of our leaderboard.
Oh yeah.
More than I think I should be valued, or the top 5 of our leaderboard.
I mean,
those are the people that if I see them, I watch the leaderboard. And if you're down there and you've been coming in and you've been practicing, like I'm going to take the time to say, this is when I got time, come in.
Yeah.
And I try to help them, and like those people are usually getting more out of this than the top 10 of our league. And I this is a meditative thing. This is a therapeutic thing that we do, and we all get very wrapped up in we want to win and we want to work on our average and we want to, but like those people, they don't give a shit. This is the thing they do to come in on Thursday night and to just forget about their shitty job and forget about the bills that they're laid on, or whatever the fuck it is.
Whatever
Everybody,
it is, yeah.
Well, you could be a millionaire and you got problems. This is the thing you can come in and do. And like that's what I value about what we do over anything.
You guys at your place, like there's one thing that and if you're one of my league members and you're listening to this,
which you better,
Close your ears.
This is the thing that I would say that I probably in the since doing leagues have disliked the most, and that is that we've had so many people, and I love this part, that we've had so many people who have gotten really good in our venue, but the amount of time that they obsess over the app, and where they're at, there's a good level of that, and then there's a point where I feel like some of them maybe start to lose the fun aspect, and they start to take it so serious, because we take it serious, but it's not gonna ruin our day.
No, and I've
on the surface.
I've shared this with a couple people, especially for us when we go to tournaments, and you've invested money, you've invested time, you've done so much training and so much practice. You're gonna get upset.
I didn't see one person on Thursday with their phone out.
Yeah, no,
pulling that. Like
I'll do it. It's usually me.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
me, and it's maybe like Ty. There's a couple of us that do, but like I want to share something that has really helped me, and I've shared with a couple of other people that this is just something that I do at tournaments, because I'm not the greatest thrower. I love the people, my friends are there. I go to hang out, I go to have fun, I do this thing that I love, I go to promote my axes, the business that we have. When I lose and I'm out and I'm upset, I have these feelings, right?
Yep.
I will literally set a 10-minute alarm on my phone, and I'll walk away. And if I'm angry at how I did, if I'm embarrassed at how I did, if I'm just whatever it is, I tell myself I have 10 minutes to just feel that.
And then when that
alarm goes off, I take a deep breath, I shut the alarm off, I walk back towards my people, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of that experience 100% with those people that I care about, and I'm going to support the people that are still in it, which is usually Lucas.
Thank you. No, I mean, I don't set a timer, but I do a very similar thing. If I lose, you probably won't. You'll be like, it's okay, whatever. You won't see me for a few minutes.
Yep.
I will go outside. I will take a second to do whatever, anything else for a minute. Like today when I lost, I went outside, and your shuffleboard was outside, and I threw the things a few times, not caring what I got.
Yep.
Walked down there, got those, threw them back, and then I was like, well, all right, figure it out.
Physical activity is a huge way to release mental stress.
Sure.
Yeah. I know, like, Bert and I go, I'm a huge, I said this on Bill's podcast too, but I'm a huge advocate of mental health.
Don't talk about his podcast.
Dude, we're going to talk about IETF. We're going to talk about Waddle. We're going to do the thing. So physical activity is a huge way to, like, relieve mental stress.
Yeah.
And a lot of times Bert and I are in an argument or something, like, we'll go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like, just move your body. Like, if you lose and you're upset, just walk down the block and back. It's really helpful.
I'm pretty positive that if I lose a match, my body temperature goes up like 5 to
100%, certainly.
Have you looked at the stats on your Apple Watch with your heartbeat through the course of a tournament day?
I don't wear it.
I've been paying attention
to
like
off.
change. Well, like, we're up in the positivity level here. We're getting a little dark. But I was looking at that, and it was really interesting that, like, the start of the day, my heart rate would rise during a match, and then it would fall.
Yeah.
And then my next match, it would go a little higher. And the further I get in the tournament, it gets higher. It would spike higher and higher and higher. And that was, like, really interesting data for me to have.
Yeah.
To know that, like, oh, not only am I, like, spiking during a match, but the further I get into the tournament, the more intense that gets. And, like, I think that's important to note when you're watching, like, Lucas or Philibom or Vin or, like, any of these people that are just winning tournaments, is that you're coping with it's like jumping from a sauna to a 40-degree tub. You're getting 200 beats per minute heartbeat, and you're coping with that and performing at this level. And I think about that a lot.
Positive that if you have seen me throw, you have not seen very much emotion out of me, if any. So, I mean, when something like a loss or miss or something happens, I think I have just done a good job of figuring out how to control that and how to harness that.
I've noticed, like, you're definitely a role model in that, and not just axe throwing, but in personal relationships and professional relationships. You're a really important person to me in seeing that. Because I do it sometimes. You throw a 4 and you're like, you shake your head and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Man, what the... Like, you just let it roll, man. And, like, the more
to.
of that I try to harness as much as that as I can, because I know that's, if you throw that 4 and you make a big fuss about it, and you're like, man, your next one, you might do it again.
It's for sure going to get worse.
If you just let it be, like, okay, all right, that was the 5, and just go for your next throw and reset.
I want to say it wasn't the beginning of last year. I think it was the end of 2021. I had a video that was shared to me. Miguel Tamburini sent it to me, and it was a TED Talk by a former Navy SEAL who talks about your biochemistry and how they're trained. They use this tactic called C or T, challenge or threat, and everything you do is you either have to look at it as a challenge or a threat. And when you look at everything as a challenge, the way your body takes that in, the positivity that comes from that will allow your entire biochemical makeup to relax better.
Yep.
Which is going to give you the best performance out of your body when you go into a situation, especially for them, where everything is almost a life or death situation. If you go into it thinking this is going to be a threat, your muscles tense up, your brain is overworking itself. And so that was a really good video for me to, like, start consciously thinking about those things. So much so that, like, the axe I was using then, like, I had laser engraved C or T on the back of it. So, like, every time I would set up and look at it, like, okay, C or T.
Yeah. And
that was good. And then this year before Worlds, Disney Plus released Limitless with Chris Hemsworth, where he basically went through this series of challenges to, like, try and better himself. And like the very first episode was like had me completely locked in. It's about like how to basically control, how can you control, for this episode it was how he could control his fear of heights. Like it starts out with him, he's like, I've got to walk this catwalk in 5 days and I'm absolutely terrified of heights.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was going through this, he went through like breathing techniques and all these different training exercises to be able to control the situation, because and they watch his heart rate. And his heart rate would spike incredibly just thinking about getting on this catwalk in the tallest building in Australia. Yeah. And then these techniques that they taught him would allow him to control that. And it was really cool to watch. And then, I definitely think that was something that helped me this year at Worlds, just this breathing technique that they do called box breathing.
Yeah,
that
totally.
Firefighters and police officers and stuff do to control stress in situations. And it was very helpful. So, find something that would allow you to do that.
Something along those lines, like going back to like supporting your league members and newer throwers too, because I think it's just hugely important. That should be our main focus as venue owners, is supporting the people who are getting into this. When I'm helping people, when I'm training people, one of the big things that I try to focus on more than technique, more than mechanics, is find something good about the throw you just did.
Yeah.
So like if you're practicing your kills and you're 3 inches left, but you're on the right height, don't go, shit, I missed that kill. That sucks. Go, okay, that throw, that was a good throw. That was perfectly height. If all I need to do is focus on my alignment now.
Yeah.
And like find something in that throw that you did, and at least note if you hit a 6, don't go, okay, I got to do it again and get stressed out about doing it again. Go like congratulate yourself.
Sure.
Be excited. Like, yes.
So I do that when 6. I teach customers how to throw axes, and they get up there and they throw and they bounce it off the board because they did something wrong, and it was like, oh, that was a great first throw. And they're like, it's on the floor. What was great about that?
The rotation was right.
Well,
it was just this
you did
that.
everything right except for this one tiny little thing.
Crooked, so it just
and then
fell out.
You correct that one little tiny thing, and it may not have stuck perfect. They may have like a unicorn sticking in there, but like, okay, great, you did this. Now this little thing, and positivity is the big thing.
And one of my favorite things about this, what we're doing in owning a venue, is getting finding the most introverted people. So I start if I'm doing a group, which I don't do as much at this point, which I have some regrets about. I'm usually pretty wrapped up in making and doing axes and stuff, but I try to get in here. But when I run a group, I'll ask for who's going first, and whoever volunteers,
they go last.
You're going last.
Nice. Sure. I like
and
that.
Then
I'm gonna start doing that.
And then I watch for the person that kind of like
turned around,
makes themselves smaller.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can see it, and you go, okay, you're going first.
Yep.
And I'm gonna get that person up, and I'm gonna shut everyone up. And the only thing that exists is me and that one person.
Yeah.
And when you get them in front of that whole group to stick that axe, and they're the one that gets that big high five, and they're the ones that you express that excitement to,
they sign up for league next season.
They sign up for league next season.
Like, oh,
and
this place is cool.
that like extroverted person, they're always going to do better.
Yeah.
They just said that this whole thing is about confidence.
Sure.
And you just have like naturally like default confidence because you're like an extroverted person. Like you're just gonna do better at this. But when you bring those people up and all those people get to sit and wait, that's my favorite moment of this thing and what we do.
I think that's cool. I'm gonna start using that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put that in our training.
Yeah. We do.
So on that note, we'll switch over to training because that's what we're talking about. Kyle Rickenbaugh and I have started.
What a confusing way to start it all out.
Yeah, we have. We're going to start doing a couple of different things. A company we have started called Throw Pros, from venue training to venues that are just starting out and need help building, to running tournaments if needed, things like that. And so we're just starting that this year, and we have one next week. So we're going to Denver, train a new venue, super nice venue.
What's it called?
Super nice.
It's called Yukon Axe.
Yukon. Okay, I think I saw some of the.
Yeah, Yukon Axe. A friend of mine from the escape room side is opening a venue, and all the things you did at the beginning, and then you ended up changing like within 6 months or a year, and then it's like you have that new thing, and you're like, man. I wish I would have started with this.
Yes,
he's like 2 years ahead of that is what he's just starting with. Like he's just doing everything the right way from the beginning. And
can I share one?
Yeah.
So when we started, we were very, very like, I don't want to say like insurance, but we were like, we scared people.
Yeah.
Our safety kind of spiel at the beginning was the intentions were so good, and we wanted everyone to be safe, and we wanted everything. But the things that we were mentioning, for one, it took way too long.
Yeah.
For one, you want to get people axe in hand and going. You wanted to boil that thing down, but we were scaring people.
So I am big on, so for you that don't know, I used to own an escape game before, and I've played now like 550-ish escape games across the country. So I've been in a lot of rooms. I've gotten a lot of talks from a lot of people about rules. I mean, 550 times. They'll tell you the rules every game. And I cannot tell you how much of a pet peeve of mine it is to go into a place and them tell you like specific rules and go over all these things because something happened one time.
Sure.
And it is, and it's like that. And that probably helped me at the beginning with axe throwing, because I was like, all right, I don't need to go over 50. I don't need to say, don't do a handstand and throw it backwards over your head while trying to drink your beer and record it on your phone. But that's the type of stuff people would go over in escape games. They'd be like, there's nothing in the ceiling. You don't need to rip the carpet up. I'm like, I was not planning to rip the carpet up. Like that was not something that was going to happen. Right. So it was like, I took that, and I think that kind of helped us never have a really long rule speech for axe throwing, because obviously everybody wants to be safe, but at the same time, there's certain things you don't need to tell people not to do that are pretty much not going to be something they try to do to begin with. But then you say it, and they're like, oh man, I hadn't really thought of that, but it kind of goes in the back of their head as like,
or how many times has that happened that they need to be
then they're
like
worried about it, right?
Like
they're
this,
like, you're like, oh, well, why would somebody get in the ceiling of this escape room and crawl around? like it makes no sense. So
they watch Die Hard too many times.
It's like, so there's things like that I think you learn along the way, and
I think one of the things that, so like, there are other people obviously that do training and stuff, and a lot of it is focused on staff, and I mean, we're obviously going to do the staff side too, but like, I'm sure you're on probably every axe throwing page on Facebook too, business professionals, all that stuff, and you see, right now, I mean, almost every day you see venues who are going up for sale, and it just seems kind of crazy, and there are a lot of venues that are still popping up everywhere, and some of them are affiliated, some of them aren't affiliated. We also want to target the owner side and management side so that we can kind of start to have more and more venues that have very similar concepts when you walk in the door, rather than the cash grab places that think, and one, if you're watching this and you're getting into axe throwing because you think it's a cash grab,
you're wrong.
It's not.
No, it's a lifestyle.
Maybe in some markets, obviously some markets are going to be super cash rich, but that's like this market. And if you can't see the space between my fingers, that's because it's that small. So it's not we're not getting rich off of this. We're sustaining our lifestyles and enjoying the community and stuff like that.
Which even then it's barely.
Sure.
We're floating a venue, and we need sponsorship, and we need further enrichment in order for us to personally go out and do the tournaments and do the scene like we're doing.
But the venues that aren't servicing their communities because they're letting people walk in the door and there's axes already at the lane and they say, here you go.
Yeah, good luck.
That's terrible for us. And a lot of people go, that's really great because we're providing so much better customer service. Well, sure, if they ever go back to an axe venue.
Yeah, if you go and you just bang a board for 35, 40 minutes and you don't get it, that person's never going back.
Yeah, they're going axing. Screw
now
that.
If you've got,
I'll go to bowling. I can knock the pins over.
I would have opened a full year earlier if the first time we went axe throwing, they had cared. Yeah. And they had tried to get the group involved. I went with a group of people. There were like 12 of us, maybe a little more, somewhere around there. And 4 of us threw.
One of them was
Brian.
Right?
Yeah, the person that's opening Yukon X. We both were there. We both threw the most out of everybody there. We both had a good time.
And
I got back in the car. I asked people, what do you guys think? Like, it was all escape room owners, so all people that, were like-minded in the sense of opening a business, and everybody was like,
opening a business in the entertainment sector.
Yeah, they were all like, no, that was not fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, crap, I thought it was. I had fun.
But
I was like, okay, if 2 out of 12 people are all that had fun, I don't want to open that type of business. Yeah. So I asked Jenna, we looked at like a couple of spaces, and she was just like, no, I'm not interested. And luckily I was able to convince her otherwise a year or so later, but it's like that's definitely a thing. I mean, I personally went to a venue recently that didn't even have a line to throw from.
No.
They didn't have a line to throw from, and their teaching thing was that generic poster that you can find online that like has a guy standing with the axe, and it just kind of explains how to throw.
Never seen it.
That there's a poster out there somewhere, and it literally just has like very basic technique stuff.
Yeah.
It might even only have a 2-handed throw on it. I can't remember.
Probably.
But like they were literally standing in their lane, throwing, dropping, going over, walking over to the poster, reading it, and going back and trying again.
That's terrible.
And I was like, I did everything. I hate to like overstep or do it. So I didn't talk to any of the people, and except for like on the way out the door when I was passing them, I was like, you should just scoot back a little. You should scoot up. Like, I'd already figured out what things they needed to fix.
Like the thing that a coach would do. Yeah. And maybe tell a joke. Maybe make people feel comfortable.
Keep score for them. Be nice. Be mean to the person that's mean.
I think that's
be a person.
Something super unique about what we are doing is that I didn't go. Like I just grew up doing archery, throwing knives, like throwing axes, just as a shitty little kid in the backwoods of Washington State.
His whole life he's cheated.
I
kind of the same way. I mean,
and I knew that I loved throwing.
Yeah.
And I originally had the tattoo studio in here, and people will bring 6 friends for a 3-hour tattoo. And so I was like, what's a thing people can do to have fun? Like, it was an altruistic motive for me to start this thing. It was like, I love craft beer. I love throwing shit. Yeah. It's just fun. What would be a fun thing for somebody to do when their friend's getting tattooed for 3 hours and they would leave and go somewhere else? And like, what would keep them there? They can check on their friend. They can do something. So we never went. Bird went to like a civil axe. She did a little thing and went to a couple and kind of related, but like we've approached this in a totally different way.
Than other
places, and I think that's part of how we have the league that we have, and how we have because we built it our own.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I think that's. I think back to your leagues. I mean, it was exciting. I don't think I could do what Bird was doing. Like, it takes a special it's not my. That's just not how I act. Is one thing. Like, but just be like, it was super cool to see and everything. So we talked about it on like 2 or 3 different occasions after we left. Like, really?
Yeah. We went to pick Casey up from the airport, and it was one of the first things that we said, like, you really missed out not being here last night.
Yeah, it was like, you should have come before, because
and she was like, oh, we do walkout music on week 8, and it's like, this is different. Like, you have to see it, and you have to, like, I mean, it was exciting.
It's a very like culty thing to say, like, oh, like you work at like most of the time you work at a shitty job, they're gonna be like, it's a family environment. But like, I have to say, like, it feels like a family thing, and people come and people go. It's pretty culty. It's fine. I'm okay with that. I've always had aspirations to be kind of a cult leader.
Okay. We're getting close.
We're getting pretty close. But it just like I just want these people to feel like we give a shit, and we do.
Do you aspire to be most like?
If you had to pick a cult leader that you would like to be,
man, that's a tough call because they most of the time end up like pretty bad.
Yeah.
So like I don't want to be a cult leader. I just want people to. I just want people to know that I give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, like I love and I get so much out of this.
Yeah.
Like this, like we had, it was a long break between Worlds and leagues starting up.
Yeah.
And like I spiraled out after Worlds and like the whole like hype of like we got ESPN and like we were right there and the whole thing. I dropped, man. Yeah. And I had a couple weeks there where I was like, I was depressed, man.
Yeah. And you needed that league.
And league wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it really, really made me realize like how important this is to my mental health and my well-being. To like, I know Thursday night,
I got something to look forward to.
Thursday night, Sunday, and Monday night.
Yeah,
I got my people are here. I can socialize a little bit. I can, you know, it makes a big difference for me.
Yeah. And I think that's. So, you know, I said, you know, league members, sorry again. I know I said some things that may have been slightly mean a little earlier, but
you weren't.
I mean, it's the same way, like, you know, and I tell our league, we do like a league preview night the week before our leagues, and we tell people that they're, you know, we have a big league in my opinion, but like we don't have enough people to say, okay, we're going to split this into 2 leagues.
Yeah.
Hatchet's been close before where it was like, I'm never going to do one this big again. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things where it's like we have everybody from someone who threw an axe for the first time last week to people at a pro level that are traveling to tournaments, and you're all grouped together. And if at any point in time you feel uncomfortable because somebody was a jerk or somebody was too, like, I want to know, and there's the door for them.
Yeah.
Like, because we care more about the community than we do anything else, and we want to build that and cultivate that, and I don't know that happens everywhere. And
I don't think it does. That's huge for us too. Like
I think it happens in a lot of places, but and in some places it, you know, it. I mean, I don't know that it's any other places like what you guys had.
It's incredible to see people who would be blocking each other and hating each other on Facebook stand in this lane next to each other, and while they're in this building, your political belief doesn't matter, your gender doesn't matter, your none of that shit matters.
None of the things that people
coexist. All that matters is we're doing this thing that makes us feel good.
Yep.
We're doing it together, and we're just all trying to get better. And like I said, from your angle, like you see a lot of people at your venue looking at their phones and tracking stats and like trying to improve. From my perspective, I would love to see more of that, because a lot of our people, like, we have what we have, and I love the like genuine like enthusiasm and just the care that everyone's showing. But a lot of people don't even know that, like, how many matches do I have left? They've never even signed into their Waddle page to look at that shit.
I have those.
And I would love to see just like some more people like tracking that and so like looking at PRs. Like, but that's kind of why we push PRs, because we really want to see, like, you know, track your progress. Yeah. Like we're here to do the thing we love, but we also like want to get better.
Yeah, good correlation. So for me personally as a thrower, like I was the guy that was going to tournaments, and like every time I'd throw a match, after I'm done with the match, I'm pulling my phone out to see where I'm at next in the bracket and what's going on next, and how many bullseyes did I hit, how many kill shots. And I, for a long time, like, I felt like that was a big problem. Like, the moment I decided, okay, the tournament's starting, I'm putting my phone in my backpack, I started to have more fun. I started to just go out and throw. And
I've seen you this year, and I just want to take like a little bit, not to get too squishy or like what, but like your progress over the last year has been amazing. Yeah, I noticed you.
I feel like
you're there.
I feel like I mean, even going back to the COVID times, like it bugs me so much that like when I hear people go, I throw. Ian is a good example. Yeah. How much he talks about how he's awful in leagues.
Yeah.
And then he throws well in tournaments. And
I'm the same way.
I've always been the I throw
well.
I throw well in leagues in a comfortable setting.
But then not.
And then I go to a tournament, and I think it all comes down to right up here.
It does.
It's all in my head.
I'm a 55 average thrower in league.
As soon as I can get out of the head space, then I can get there. Which was what was so strange at Worlds, because where you said you felt like noodly in the legs, I felt fine up there. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And that started to frustrate me, because I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah. But then it just wasn't working.
It just wasn't working.
Yeah. I definitely felt like I belonged there. Like I earned that. Like we just threw great. But it was like, there was some of that like, man, Vin, like I got another person to kind of take care of here. But like, yeah. And that's a first too.
Yeah. So like with my league members, if I could get some of those people who are super obsessed with that to go, if you just put your phone down and didn't worry about that, your scores would go up.
I think what we're
finding that happy medium.
I think the root that we're getting at is that there's a good place between obsessing over your data and like just engaging with the people that are there and like leaning on them to let the anxiety fall away and just have fun and just.
I also am a big, and I've talked to multiple people about this, and I mentioned it Thursday when we were here, and you and Philbom, we were back there in the shop, and I just was listening to the conversation that was going on, and in my head I was like, people need to fucking hear this. And so I literally pulled my phone out and just like turned it on and recorded it and just kind of had my phone pointed at them, and then they realized I was doing it, so that normal. But it was like that type of conversation can happen between any two people at a tournament, but it means more hearing Lucas and Philibom talking about that together, more so than anybody else in the sport, because I feel like people take you guys a little for granted, maybe, that like you guys go out to these tournaments and you just win all the time and you don't have the same problems that everybody else has. No. And it's like, no, they do. And you need to hear about it.
You're overcoming the same problems that everyone is dealing with, but you're doing it in a better way.
And we have, and Philibom and I have had several heart-to-hearts where Philibom and I have our own problems that maybe a vast majority of you don't have and maybe won't have, but it's like it's a whole different thing. I mean, Philibom has experienced the same thing as me, where you'll have a bad tournament or you'll have a bad game, and people are jerks. I mean, people will be like, well, for a while when circuit points were more serious, or more, I guess, when there were less people that got in, circuit points meant more or valued more. People would be mad when Philibom and I would go to things. And it's like, how dare you? Like, why are you...
You already have your circuit points.
Yeah, they're like, you already have a bid. You shouldn't even be here. Or for regionals, I was getting blasted for going to Midwest regionals. Well, Midwest regionals were closer for me. And I wanted to go because I wanted to throw axes. I wasn't going because I was like, oh, I'm going to take all the circuit points from everybody.
Yeah. You wanted to go to the Midwest regionals because there was going to be 90 or 100 people at this regional.
That too.
They were going to be difficult.
Good. Yeah, it was going to be a good tournament, right? And unfortunately, just where the Atlantic regionals had not turned out well. And between that and like I'll do bad and somebody would be like, what was up with you this tournament?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm not
a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it's not that the level
Mike
of competition in the
gets a
Atlantic
lot of
was.
that, too.
Yeah, and so
different.
there are certain people that I know I can talk to about that, that have experienced it and have gotten other things back. And so like Philibom and I have a really good relationship in talking about those types of things. Yeah. And he got to go through it before I did. And then I started to experience some of those same things. Just as you win, that's just what happens and things like that. But we have our own, just mental things that we've talked about and stuff like that, because once you win, people expect you to keep winning.
Yeah.
Right. There's never.
Well, you expect yourself to keep winning too.
I mean,
so
obviously you want to, right? But like, it's so hard to do anything once as far as beating it, everybody winning a tournament, then to do it twice, then, et cetera, to repeat anything like that. And so it's just one of those things that until you're in that position, you don't know mentally what that's going to be like to try and, focus on that, or to try to not focus on that and try to just be in the moment and focusing on that game or that throw or whatever it may be. And so I don't know. I think that, talking to other people that are in those types of situations has been really good for me. And honestly, same thing with like the original people that throw that were in a group chat with, like Mike Kump and Will and David Sycon and all of those people. Like without me developing a relationship with them, I probably wouldn't be half of the thrower I am today. Just because, just little things they would say, nothing crazy. They weren't like sitting down and having an hour-long conversation with me about anything, but like I met Kump and Sycon in my very first tournament. Dave and Mike rode with me because they didn't rent a car at Ironside, and I was like,
Ironside 2020?
Ironside 2020. They didn't rent a car. They stayed in the hotel that you can walk to, and I was like, you guys need a ride? I offered to give them a ride. We had rented a car, and so they rode with us for to go downtown to the bars one night or whatever, and just like getting to just be friends with them.
That was the first time that I met them too. Ironside 2020.
Yeah.
It was my first tournament.
That was my first tournament too.
I made the finals on Sunday.
Yeah, I was.
They took more than they planned to take, but I was still. I think they took 8 of us instead of the 4 they were going to take.
I can't remember.
And I made that because Dave threw a 3 and Dave Sycon threw a 3 and Mike Kump called him out. It was hilarious. But
I think the crux of that is like, again, going back to like our community building.
Yeah.
Is if you're just a league member, you've just joined, or maybe you're somebody who doesn't have that greatest average, or maybe you're joining your first tournament, which is something we really encourage our people to do. You'll see there's a lot of league members who've never thrown a tournament here.
I actually heard them say earlier that you made them throw in at least one discipline.
We didn't make anyone do anything,
but you strongly suggested.
But I can be persuasive because I have a very strong and I think a very good opinion about this. Is that if you have to be here to have your moment, to talk to Lucas, to talk to Philibom, to talk 100%. to any of these guys that are good, and you never know when that one thing. Like I can honestly, like you say, my throwing didn't really get better until I started opening myself up to having conversations with those people and not just being kind of like shy. I'm a super introverted person.
Sure.
I spend 90% of my time in the workshop by myself doing my thing. I'm just like borderline agoraphobic. And it wasn't.
I'm pretty introverted. I mean, I will, once I'm comfortable with somebody, I will talk to them. But like, if you think I hate you because I don't talk to you,
I was just getting ready to say the same thing.
It's like it has nothing to do with you. I just genuinely
still feel awkward sometimes, like because I enjoy people watching and I just enjoy taking things in and listening and I still find myself doing that. Like I'll just be standing in a room full of a bunch of people just listening and if you ever feel like I have ignored you or anything like that, it's not that at all. It's just that I'm not.
It's feel free
one
to be direct.
Typically talk to somebody.
It's
out of the blue.
So you shouldn't be intimidated. Like if your first match is against Lucas or Mike or whoever, like that's a really good opportunity to have that moment where you can talk to them and you'll learn something.
And I don't know. This
I
might
want to
be,
encourage people that are new to do that.
Yeah.
This might be too much, maybe not. But I overheard. Not overheard. I guess I was standing right there. But
Creepy.
A certain. I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but a certain thrower from Ironside was talking to us earlier, and had mentioned another great thrower from Ironside who happens to be a youth thrower, who may also be here. Really looks up to Lucas, and but maybe in conversation before, seems very nervous around you and stuff like that. And I think that's probably just that he is young and he doesn't understand that that's your personality.
Yeah.
And if you're a young thrower at a tournament, one, you're at a different level than anybody else in the sport because you're a kid at a tournament, and that's
can you imagine
so
where they're going to
huge.
get to?
Oh yeah,
so huge. Don't feel nervous talking to any of these throwers because at the end of the day, most of us are introverts at some level and probably nervous to talk to other people too in some way or aspect. So if you listen to this and you're the thrower we're talking about, just jump right in.
Yeah.
We're not scary
Don't be
people.
obnoxious.
But scary people.
What is the girl that works for you, Ashley?
She killed it tonight at Knives.
I
homie.
played her.
Little homie.
Yeah,
Lil homie.
That was it. I just couldn't remember the name. I knew it was Lil something. Always when I throw against somebody, when they seem nervous or they are, really worried about it or something, I always try to say something like I try to be positive or try to give them a tip or
Goes
anything
a long
that
ways.
I notice, right? So we're like in the middle of the game and I'm like, hey, can you? It's like. I was like, you're throwing. I was like, you're going really fast.
She is rapid.
And I told her, I was like, she apologized. I'm like, no. I'm not saying you're going too fast as in like, I want you to slow down for me. I want you to slow down for you.
Yeah.
Because right now you're going so fast. While I'm talking to her, I'm looking at her. I'm like, you are literally trying to catch your breath. That's how fast you're going. Like you were running to the board to get your knives and running back. I'm like, take a second.
She's one of those. If she waits too long, she starts to get in her head.
Yeah.
So she wants to like one. I mean, she's knife one, knife two.
She was getting a lot of them
three.
off. I had seen her throw in here before I went and
That's
had my match
that's
against
not
her.
necessarily the fast part you're talking about, but it's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like
I mean, she
throwing
was
really fast
doing that.
and then not
Everything
going
was
really
fast.
back.
And so I was like, hey, you got to breathe somewhere. I was like,
Yeah.
you can throw fast if that's more comfortable for you, but like, you need to take a little time. Like, and I've told other fast people that, and I told Dustin Knight that I was like, dude, you're such a good thrower. If you took 2 seconds more each throw, you would be that much better.
I've heard that too. I'm pretty quick.
I don't know that he listened to that. I think that he did get better throughout the year, and he did slow down. I don't know. I'm not saying it's because of me, but I think that there's something about throwing fast that it does have its advantages. It's very easy to not think, and I think thinking. This game is way more mental than you would ever imagine.
It's 90% mental, 10% mechanics.
I think, being fast with something has its advantages, but there's a point where it tips the scales and goes too fast.
It does.
And
it does.
So
I use advice that I've gotten from you. Like especially if I'm really anxious, like at Worlds, I counted my steps.
Yeah.
And when I was coming up to the board, I was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab.
And I will admit that wasn't mine idea. That was from Josh Russo. I take and repurpose things that other people tell me. If you ever want any sort of tips, and you don't need to follow all of them by any means or do any of them, but Smith's book is great. If you haven't read it, there are certain parts of it that as a super competitive thrower, you're going to be like, I don't need to do this.
Do you want to name that book so that people might grab it?
The Perfect Throw.
Yeah.
It is, but there are certain things in there that, even if you only get one thing from the entire book, it's not a huge book. It's not like 100 chapters or anything. Like you could read it in a week for sure, even if you didn't read very much a day. And it has certain little things that he got from other places, most of them as well, and he credits that. But it's like there's just picking up those little things eventually pay off.
There's something I've noticed and something that I love that draws me to this community so much is that in my experience as kind of a mid-tier to higher level tattooer, the people that I looked up to were really guardy with their information and their information and like how will they do what they do and make them successful, and they don't want to share it. They don't want to share it, and it felt bad, man. And when I came into axe throwing and started to see, you know, like I had heroes in tattooing that like let me down.
Yeah,
and made me feel bad. Like I don't want to say I pedestalize people, but there are certain people where like I respected a lot, and it was like one of those moments where you kind of have a hero, and they kind of crush you a little bit.
They say you never want to meet your hero.
Yeah, and that's what I'm like. That's one thing with the axe throwing community is that meet your heroes, man.
Yeah,
like I haven't met a single person that in this thing that wasn't willing to just look at me and what I was doing and just see me for somebody who loves this thing and wants to get better, and then to offer anything they could to just put me into that next place. And like that's part of the reason why I'm super passionate about axe throwing, and why the best friends I've ever had in my entire life as a 40-year-old man are in this community right now. And that's part of the reason why. It's not about circuit points. It's not about winning money. It's not about any of that shit. It's about I will sell myself to sponsors, and I will go through the travel, and I will do everything I can to go and see my friends and be a part of that, because every time I do, there's a benefit.
Yeah.
And it's not just throwing. It's about
about
the relationships
for me, I know you
I've
mentioned
built.
this early. You mentioned kind of that earlier too, and I thought the same thing. I know earlier I mentioned that I came from the cycling industry, and I worked so much during that to the point of burnout. I mean, I was basically working myself 7 days a week for 10 years straight. Like, didn't take days off because of the way the job was structured. Didn't take vacation time even though I had it. A lot of times because of the way it was structured. Literally 10 years. And I was just finally, when I switched into, the axe throwing side of things, it was like, okay, I'm good enough to go to tournaments. I'm going to do that. I started meeting people and friends, and, quarantine, the QATL stuff.
That's where we started.
Expanded that so much, because we had just opened our venue in November of 19, and then we get shut down.
We were April.
Straight into QATL, and that opened up like a world outside of Evansville, Indiana, where I was, Southern Indiana. And then Global Team Throwdown happened, and it was like, okay, now I've met like minds in my state.
Fucking Canada.
The first people that two people that I met from there have been like my two longest running duels partners. One who hasn't been traveling to tournaments lately just because of life and physical ailments and stuff like that, and then my current regular duels partner, Ryan Gustin. Those friendships, I mean, I'm sure if I share this on my personal page, my friends that I still have from high school and friends I hang out with now at home, I love all of you guys, but the relationships that I've developed in axe throwing are different.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, when I go to a tournament, I love being around all of my friends here. I love that.
100%.
Different type of friendship. I feel like it's sometimes a closer bond, which is why we've got the Waddle schedule. Plus, we're doing PLS, which is PLS, Pro League Series, please.
Nailed it.
Please. Is it please?
It is.
Yep.
Please sign up.
Please sign up.
Yeah. PLS BTCH.
Where
Or BTCH PLS.
where do you go?
Right?
What is this?
John Deputy's bitch, please.
Oh, yeah.
So just let go. Like,
That
where are you
that
going to go
kinda
to sign up for
creates-
that?
Huh?
Just so people, if somebody's
Yeah,
listening
yeah.
and they don't know like where to look for that sign up and they want to.
ProLeagueSeries.com.
ProLeagueSeries.com
Okay.
or Pro League Series on Facebook. Check us out if you're eligible for that, for sure. But those events are kind of plugged in to the spaces in between tournaments.
Yeah.
So now it's okay, great. We're getting
Does that mean I'm doing
more
like
time.
16 tournaments
Yeah, you
this
are.
year instead of like 12?
Yeah.
no
Sweet.
Like 90.
Let your sponsor know.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Just wait
Bird,
until all
we're doing
400
16 instead of 12.
Yeah, Bird's got to come too. All right.
Yeah. Oh, so earlier I did offer. I didn't get your Tyler's input on this, but earlier I did offer.
Nope.
After recommendation by the commissioner of another league, recommended that we put two
Yeah.
people on as commentators in Bird and
Bird.
Tabitha
Bird.
Yeah.
together, and so I offered
Cool.
Bird a commentator spot.
All right. So she's got to come now.
PLS, so.
Yo.
That sucks.
I always do better when Bird's there, so I'm cool
Okay,
with that.
good.
Yeah.
She's definitely my emotional support.
All right. Well,
Vin second.
we've been
So we've only been
We're
on
at
this
hour and
podcast
45,
for 30
or is-
minutes now, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, about 30 minutes.
He told me
he's-
we're going
Kyle's
about
gonna-
30 minutes, but I
Kyle's gonna cut off. Kyle's gonna cut out an hour and 15 minutes of this, so we're about 30 minutes
Well,
in.
at least the 30 seconds where I
where
screwed
you
up earlier.
Screwed up Scotland and
No,
Russia.
I'm just
All right.
kidding.
barely.
So we got like 15-ish minutes. I'd like to keep it under 2-ish hours.
Okay,
I'm sure
2 seems good.
But we have finished up Knives here and your league night.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we've got what's first?
Duels?
Is duels first or
Bird's
Big
not
X?
here. I don't know.
All right, we got Big
I think
X
it's
and
duels.
I think it's duels.
I think
we
it's
got
duels,
duels and
yes.
Big X tomorrow in some order.
Yep.
So
Followed by, what's the after party tomorrow? Lava Lanes?
Tomorrow is Lava Lanes is Sunday.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a big bowling alley,
Heck yeah.
and they got a huge bar and
And the
pool
floor is lava,
tables.
and so you have to jump on all
the
their
floor is not
tables.
lava.
Oh.
The line is lava.
They
That
got
sucks.
decent. They got decent food. They
Can't
got
wait.
a big.
All right, what's
huge
tomorrow?
space. What is
Chris
tomorrow?
doesn't even know.
This is why. This is why Bird is the
All right,
better.
all
of
right.
the
Well,
two
we're
of
doing
us.
something
What's
tomorrow. Yeah. All right. So we got we got those tomorrow. Knives today. Knives today. You got fifth.
Yeah.
Fifth and knives. Who else got fifth?
Tied
with
for
you?
seventh.
Ray?
Brandon Johnson.
Oh, Brandon Johnson, my cousin. My
He's
cousin.
not your cousin.
Yes,
dude.
he
Stop
is.
saying
Dude,
that.
if I
That's
if I say it
misinformation.
enough times, people will start to believe it.
No.
All right. So Kyle and Brandon got fifth. Fourth was Ray.
Ray.
Ray Shohovich. That's right. I nailed the name. Third was Philibom.
Yeah.
Second was TJ Schultz.
Yeah.
And I took the win in knives.
Congrats.
And then, so we've got small swords. And we've got
short swords.
Short
Short
swords,
swords.
sorry.
Exactly.
And so we have duels, big axe, and then
Medium hatchet.
yes, and we have two hatchets, medium hatchet, and then on Sunday we have regular hatchet.
Yeah. And I'm sorry,
so-
but we're definitely me and Vin are winning.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
We
No,
need
that sounds
this, man.
cool. That
You know how
sounds
many
cool.
second place finishes we had last year? We're like,
Are we
need
at
this
least on
first.
the other side?
We are on absolute opposite sides of the
All
bracket.
right, baby.
Sweet.
Let's go, baby.
We're setting it up. No, so I think there's going to be like just out of the teams that I knew of that were here that are thrown, there's like 8 teams that have thrown together before that I know that they're probably going to throw pretty well. So I'm excited to see how that goes. Any other people in Big Axe you think are?
Coming back, I'm kind of excited to see. I think it's going to be Vic, Iowala, and Steve-O.
Oh yeah, they beat Tyler and I at Angrywood.
Did they? Okay, they threw
Yeah.
there too. I was going to say,
Yeah,
I feel like they're a new
They
team.
threw
that
together at Angrywood, and
I feel like
Tyler.
they
I
could
can't-
be a little scary.
I can't remember. Tyler and I did something really stupid in like game 1 or game 2, and we were like, Why do we do that? I don't know. I don't remember what we did, but it didn't work out. They were one of those teams. There's like, a handful of other ones. And then I'm sure there'll be like 3 or 4 teams that I'm like, dang, I didn't think they were going to do that great. And they probably do really well.
Yeah. So that'll be kind of exciting to see. But I'm very sorry to everybody for your loss.
Yeah, thanks. Big Axe, you got
Big Axe. I'm sorry, Vin, but I know Vin's been trash at Big Axe, so I wouldn't worry about the U.S. Open Big Axe champion tomorrow too much.
Okay. No. So we can mark him off.
He
the
said
list.
that to me too, so I'm not just being a dick. Like he said, his Big Axe is a little off. Maybe had
his wrist still bothering.
That's
him a bit?
great because that
it's
means
opposite
he'll probably
wrist though.
It's his
is
wrist.
it?
No, you know what that means though.
Sometimes off. Like
He'll
Big Axe for
probably
me
throw
is
really
feeling
well.
fire right now. And
I actually just watched a documentary about Nolan Ryan, and he would have the worst warm-ups, and then come out, and that would be the night that he would throw no hitters and stuff.
I want this. I'm super biased here, but Justin Hansen is one of our league members, and he can get hot.
He can get hot.
He'll whip my ass sometimes.
He has a normal name, or does he have
Justin Hansen? So
what's his
he's
nickname?
handsome.
Handsome. Okay.
And Jania the Wolf also can come alive.
I haven't seen like Ashley Clack throw a lot of
Ashley Clack
matches per
can
se,
get,
but she wasn't here for league, and then like we were over there throwing. I came back over here to grab my stuff, and she was throwing Big Axe, and I was like, oh, hit a kill shot. I shouldn't have said that because she immediately hit a kill shot.
She's super dedicated. So we have I don't know, 5-6 people that literally have a code to the back door so that they can come in and practice, and she will be here almost every night of the week. And a lot of the second place trophies that I have hanging in my office for league are because of her.
Gotcha.
So, and she is tiny and she will beat your ass.
Yeah. So those are the people that and then there's, obviously the normal 10
Vale's here,
10 people, 15 people that travel to tournaments. So
Vale's here. I know he's, feeling hungry for a repeat on Ironside.
Oh,
his Big Axe is pretty solid.
He's talking a lot of smack. He
is talking some smack.
When is Vale not talking smack?
Yeah. So those two, and then Hatchet, I think Hatchet's the more of a wild card. It could be almost anybody's.
Hatchet, yeah. I mean, we obviously got you. I've been throwing real good. My Hatchet's feeling pretty good. So.
Bro, I saw you throw league on Thursday. You don't gotta lie.
That ain't gonna be an appropriate representation of my skill level at the moment.
That was filled with stress though, because of the stream.
The stream was going pretty bad right there. But
and then we
got Nick Kolomaya.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
There's Kolomaya in here.
There's like 15 people that easily could win.
It's kind of a cool bracket because there's not, we don't have Tyler. We don't have, we don't have some of the people you would see at some of the later tournaments.
Yeah,
it's a different mix here, West Coast maybe.
Yeah,
but
West
it's
Coast.
also like there's some, Vic is one too. Like he does smoking in league.
Nate Hodges
can come.
Nate is definitely Big X thrower.
Yeah,
you got to worry about tomorrow. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how it plays out. I'm excited to start the year off. Feels good. I got a world's bid.
First one.
Yeah, that's right. Me and Mike Kump, just us two right now in Knives. Yeah. I messaged him. I told him if we could figure out how to sabotage everybody else, we could just play each other for 2 hours on TV. I told him that's good. That's about how long it takes me to play a game.
Yeah.
So
it could be interesting.
But yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the year. I think obviously starting it off with a great tournament here, and looking forward to Pro League Series in 2 weeks. And then the next thing is literally a week after that.
What is after that?
It's a week. 2 weeks. Capital City.
2 weeks after that.
2 weeks after that is Capital City.
I don't know if I'm doing Cap because
Pro League Series is gonna be better. It makes sense.
I'm doing Pro League Series.
Oh, what's Capital? What else?
Mighty Axe is doing one. I don't know if it slipped through the cracks, but I think it's the same weekend. Mighty Axe is doing one in California.
I saw them post that. I didn't double check. I am terrible at dates. Like, I'll look at something, somebody will be like, yeah, you're doing something.
So
like, yeah.
I really wanted to do Capital City because I didn't make it. They were sold out so fast last year that I didn't make that one.
Yeah.
But I think I got to do Mighty Axe just because I got to support West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something. It's February 18th, 19th, yeah.
They're on the short list for a Pro League Series event too.
Yeah.
But I think if we did
Mighty Axe,
maybe.
But I think it would be.
We have a handful of venues. We have a handful of venues that have stepped up and inquired about doing it. So we're trying to spread them out. Obviously, the goal next one's not going to be in Texas.
The goal with locations was
there's some
finding
criteria.
Hub cities.
Yeah,
so that we could get people
then let me know.
Direct flights and cheap costs.
Yeah, we need direct flights.
I'm out.
We need Southwest to fly to your city. No, you don't. It doesn't have to be that. But we are looking for
big bonus though, because their flights are way cheaper.
We are looking for venues
and
that are close to airports.
And if you say they're terrible, they weren't in the top 3 for terrible cancellations because we saw that on the news today.
So. Close to airports, within less than 30 minutes or 30 minutes ish, or less is ideal. And in a city where it's accessible for people. So a major airport close by is our first goal, and then having less.
So you're saying I got to open a venue in Portland?
Well,
that's what you're saying.
It would be ideal, but I do have a friend
I know you
that's opening one there.
That's what I mean. I think that we're better friends.
You could have it.
Just a little.
There's so much. That's the thing with tattooing. People will throw Molotov cocktails through a tattoo shop's window and shit. There's plenty of pie.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Especially in a place like Portland.
Oh yeah,
there's plenty.
Just a little sneak peek to not to let anybody know this part, but PLS event number 2 may be in the Midwest.
Yeah. We're looking.
That's so general.
That's
not
so
specific.
general.
It's general, but it is at least a location. Midwest has been significantly higher for signups for almost every tournament for the last 2 years. So we're looking for a lot of people to come to that one. So those signups will be announced shortly after the first event, maybe at that event, and then signups after. So be looking for that like the first week of February.
Yeah, and if we have enough time and can get everybody together, we may do a little winners roundtable add into this conversation as well.
Yeah, we'd love to.
But it'll only be
those people.
5 minutes, so we keep it under 2 hours.
Yeah. All right. So on that,
can I just one?
Yeah, go ahead. What you got?
So we talked about the fact that I make axes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is gonna be way over 2 hours.
It's gonna be. I mean, I'm not gonna go too far.
No, and it's not because of him. It's because we're gonna add in those videos and all that stuff too.
I've been trying to kind of think about how to do what I do and keep it from being a detriment to me.
Yeah.
Because where I sit, I'm probably at 90 commissions on a list.
Okay, so you don't have much.
No, so I'm super ton of free time.
So if you're looking for an axe, hit up Kyle.
Yeah.
And I don't have it done by the end of the month.
Yeah. So I don't mean to brag about that or try to So I'm trying to rethink how I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna catch up if you're on my list, and I'm gonna catch you up. Aside from that, moving forward, it's probably gonna end up being I'm gonna be making stuff that I want to make in between, and I will show up to tournaments with that,
and that'll be your option.
And that'll be your opportunity to pick up what I have. And
to make those fancy repeaters, you can just throw it on a repeater.
I want to do what I'm inspired to do.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be a grind.
Right.
I do my best work when
you're just doing what you want to do.
Yeah, and I do my best, and I really want to keep that going. I also want to do something in this next year a little bit different, which is going to be bringing people out and say maybe 3 or 4 slots a year. You'll come here to Oregon, to my shop, and we will spend 3 or 4 days together, and we will forge your axes. We will go over the design elements. You'll be in the shop with me.
Yeah.
While, and it take 3 or 4 days, and we'll make you a set of axes. We'll make your sheaths. And the whole thing, we'll get the shape you like. We'll get the balance, the weight, everything. You'll get to throw that axe through the process and get it exactly how you want it. So you leave here with a set of axes that are exactly what you want them to be.
Super cool experience that you could sell people.
Yeah. And I think it's cool for them. It's really cool to me. It's like I said, I do what I do, kind of in it's sort of in the dark. Like, people see what I post, and like, I get appreciation, and I love how much support I have, and how much people respect what I do, and like, I really that makes me feel great. So I also thank everybody who's been supporting me.
What's interesting is that, so what you do and what like another maker like Goose does, not to throw any maker under the butt, like what you guys are doing is more than making axe handles.
Yeah.
You guys, it's art. It's art. And I've always been a fairly artistic person myself, so I understand the process that goes behind that. And the guy who does my logos made a very similar post to what you just said right there 6 or 8 months ago, about he was taking on too much, and that was affecting his creative process. And you have to do that, because it's just like with axe throwing and being a mental game. Art is also a mental thing, and if you can create burnout or block the creative process, and that's a big deal. So I mean,
it leads to cutting corners. It leads to putting out things that are less than the best you can do. And when you get so deep, and we saw it with Nick Guthrie happened, and you start to see, I don't know if I think he kind of stepped back before his quality suffered, but in a lot of people, you'll see
you'll start to see that.
You'll see the quality. You'll see gaps, and you'll see unfinished products, and you'll see.
I hate to see people overworking themselves so much to where that any sort of maker that shows up and they're like, "Yeah, I just did this stuff last night," and I'm like I hate that you felt like you had to do that, right? Yeah. Like that you felt like you needed to perform or do XYZ, and then now, you're super tired the next day, you're, and then the quality starts to suffer, and then that's what people think of your work, and it's like, but that's not their work, right? There's a lot of stuff they do great, and it's just a time management thing, or just too many things and stuff. So I think it's great that you're, self-aware of that, you're needing that for whatever.
A really important mentor with my art career and tattoo career told me that you might do one good tattoo, and maybe 2 people will hear about that and get a good reference from that. Yeah. If you do a bad tattoo, 50 people are going to hear about it.
Oh, easily.
And I keep that lives in my brain forever. Yep. Is that, every single one of these pieces go out, and that's I have things fail. Oh, yeah. I have handles, I try something new, maybe something happens, but I'm going to make that right. That goes to the front of my list. And I said, maybe you're listening to this and you have one of my axes and something happened to it and you're afraid to talk to me. Talk to me.
Let him know.
Let me fix it, because that's all we have really is our reputation. And we, a lot of us I know, we'll fix other people's axes. The last thing I want to see is somebody go to a tournament and buy a $300 axe, and they throw that thing for 2 or 3 days and it fails. They're never going to buy a custom axe from another person ever again. Yeah. And I know I've done it. Nick's done it. I know Vin's done it. I know a lot of these guys who have taken that axe and said, I'm fixing this for free. And because we want it, we, you know, just like growing the league and growing the communities and doing all that stuff, like as the maker, as part of this, we have a responsibility as well to grow that and make sure that people know that, you know, there's a certain standard we need to be upholding, especially if we're charging what it is that we charge, that people are getting something worth what they're paying for. So that's super important.
And I think the things that people are charging is rightfully so for a lot of the for a lot of the things. So
I feel bad sometimes, but like,
yeah, I mean, I can see, I can understand like not wanting to charge those things, but I think that that's what it's worth.
You've seen my shop now.
Yeah.
So you can probably attest to, like, there's an overhead there.
there's a lot of overhead, not to mention that there's a shop. So not to count any of the tools even inside of it, right? Like, and he has every tool you could ever want. But I think that's cool that you are, you know, aware and stepping and doing what you want to do. And I think you'll still see obviously really cool handles that Kyle comes up with. So I think that's good. Any other final?
No, I thank you for having me. I'm super honored to be your first guest.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, what's really cool is I bought podcast stuff exactly about a year ago and never made a single. Actually, I take that back. Me, Colby Dean, Michael Theodoro, and Ian Malpass all tried to do a podcast. It was like a newscast, though. We were like not very genuine. We like tried to follow an exact thing. We didn't just have a conversation, and we like read off all the people that got pro league or something, and then that was like it. And we never posted it, but it was an idea that I've been wanting to do, and so hopefully this isn't the only episode, and hopefully all of the episodes get better throughout the year. But our goal is to do them at tournaments. So you're going to constantly see different backgrounds, different things. Some of the things we might talk about more than once, just because we're going to be talking with different people, different guests hopefully we'll have. And so thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and I would say too, if you guys have things you want to see or hear people talk about, let us know. We want to know what you guys would want to watch and listen to as well. I mean, if you're going to spend 2 hours watching and listening to this, we want to make sure it's valuable to you. And, you know, if that's candid conversations that I hidden record in a workshop between Philibom and Lucas, we'll do more of that. Or if you want to hear the problems, you know, I at the Super 64, I ended up on the live stream at the end, and I thought one of the best things that I could talk about was for, you know, sorry Ian, but when Ian fell apart at the end of his match, like, what was going on in your head when this happened? And not that we want to poke fun at that, but I think that's important for people to hear, because if you haven't had one of those matches yet, you're going to have one of those matches, and especially when you've had a spectacular run in a tournament and then things just you have one little bump or crack in the train tracks that cause you to derail.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, you got to figure those things out, and I think talking about them helps you realize, like, you know, how you can fix those things. So
yeah, and that stuff will eventually, if you talk about it, will let other people know that it's okay to talk about those things and that it's only going to help you fix them.
Yeah, so if there are things like that or anything else that you want us to cover, talk about, or people you would like for us to have on, let us know.
Yeah, or if you send $500 to Cascadia's Venmo.
Yeah, Kyle can
I'll show my wiener on stream.
Kyle can, he can just direct message that to you.
Oh, boy.
But otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Episode 1.
In the books.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, so don't know exactly when this will come out, but maybe next week sometime. I don't know.
Yeah, there shouldn't be too much editing, so it should be
sooner than that.
Yeah, we'll probably put it out tomorrow. This is just
tomorrow.
Raw.
You did it. We nailed it.
Put it out raw. All right, I'm gonna hit the button, and this is over.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
I got some work to do when we get back to the hotel.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.